Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shy Talk Podcast Show. Mark and Ken with you
What's
on
up?
episode 136.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind.
136.
Yeah, it's kind of like the shows are kind of like the days of the week. They all kind of
Yeah.
blend into one big mix right now. Where we're not really too concerned. We could be 130, could be 1,136. It could be November. For all we know, it's just like we kind of live in a weird time where time and days of the week don't really matter. Everyone does the same thing every day.
Yeah, it's just every day is the exact fucking same.
Yeah. Oh, is it like, oh, I fucking hate Sundays. And it's like every day's a Sunday.
Yeah, and now it's just like, what day is it?
Oh, yeah, like, I remember Ricky Gervais put up something, his the award ceremony that he did.
Yeah.
He put up, I think it was the Golden Globes. He put up, that was 3 months ago. And I was like, oh my God, it feels like a year ago. It was 3 months ago. He put up a clip of his speech at the award, and he's like, that was 3 months ago. I was like, oh my God, it seems like such a long time ago compared to like, yeah, like I'll never complain about January again in my life. Like, January won't ever seem as long. So far, January was probably the best month of the year so far, and we're now in April.
Yeah, like I don't even know what normal life is like anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We're really just basic. This is what everybody's going, and it's everybody around the world. Like from like people in California to people in New York to people in Australia to UK, Spain. We're all in the same boat. We're all in kind of like, oh, this is we can't do it. Nobody can do anything
Except for Sweden.
Oh yeah, Sweden. Yeah, we could talk about Sweden actually. Yeah, they have they have roughly the same population as us. They have about 4 to 5 million people.
Yeah.
And they've decided, oh, we're going to tell people to stay their distance and wash their hands and blah blah blah. But in terms of like closing down nothing, they're like, nah, we're going to leave it open.
They're not even really testing people.
See, that's the way to keep the numbers down, by not testing people. If you want to
Yeah.
follow numbers confirmed corona patients, just don't test them. And it's like, oh, we only have 4,000. They're like, how? Oh, we're only testing about 4,000 people. If your ratio tests, though, like if you're testing 5,000 people and like 5,000 of those people have the coronavirus, you probably need to test more people. Like,
100% you need
yeah,
to
like
test more people.
like I think we tested. I think we got tests from Germany that we'd sent them over 5,000 tests or 6,000 tests, and 400 of them came back positive. Like, so that's a good
Yeah.
that's a good ratio of men to tests we send out to men to tests come back like positive. Like at least we know we're testing enough people that we're getting like a tiny percentage of them actually are confirmed cases. Whereas I imagine if you're testing like this is the thing about my friend that lives in the UK. He 100% had the coronavirus. I don't think he needed really to be told that he had the coronavirus. Like he had
Yeah.
pretty much all the symptoms to it. But since he didn't have respiratory problems, he wasn't tested for the coronavirus. So he wasn't registered as a number on the UK statistics that had the coronavirus because he wasn't tested. So like I don't know, like the number around the world could be a lot higher. And like even the guy I know who had it in Ireland and they lost his test more likely.
He lost his test.
Well, he didn't get it back. I haven't been speaking to him over a week, but like it's been 11 days and he hadn't got his test. But how many more people like that is there out there? So like,
There's,
like
there's a delay in getting the results.
yeah. Because I remember when I heard about the Sweden thing, I just kind of I googled how many cases were in Sweden compared to Ireland, since I knew the populations are quite similar. I think we had just crawled into the like 4,000 mark that day, and they had 6,000, so they had like 2,000 more cases than us, and they had I think we had like I don't think we had too many people died. I think it was like maybe 50 something. They had over 100 people that were dead. These aren't like exact figures, but they had a good few more people dead, and more people, like I think there was 2,000 more cases than in Ireland. Now, what they said, they'd hope to see more cases. They'd expect to see like there'd be a lot more cases, because that's what they want. They want to kind of spread it around people who can handle it, or who might be able to handle it, and then at least once their bodies are able to deal with it, then and it can't spread as effectively, because people who have it, it's harder for them to get it again, they think.
Yeah,
That's the idea
like
of
the
herd immunity, that if enough people get it and recover, then they can walk around kind of like gods. Like they can just wander around the streets, and they can go on subways, they can like high five people again, and they more than likely won't get it. So I think that's what like Sweden's model is. And they are,
like that like increases your amount of people that are going to die though.
well, see, yeah, well, what to think, what everyone else's presumption is, yeah, that might work, it might be a little bit quicker, but what's going to happen is your hospitals are going to get overrun with people who need respirators and stuff like that, and then people who have like cancer, people who have heart attacks, people who fall and need medical attention, people who are just generally are in ICUs. More people like that are going to die, because all the hospitals are full of corona patients, and then not enough staff are able to treat them. Then you're going to also run out of ventilators, and people are going to die of diseases like that. So yeah, so
Yeah, it's mad. Like,
I remember, because I know we were going to talk about it. Johnson was going to wanted this same kind of decision. I wonder if
yeah,
I know he changed his mind, and that was based off some college did a simulation of herd immunity, and based off the results of that simulation, the UK government said, "Okay, we will not do that anymore, and we'll go straight into lockdown." Now, Sweden apparently had seen that simulation, and they questioned the results. So they're like, we don't think, I think some of the factors that they put in won't happen, and there won't be a huge demand on resources. And they're kind of just betting on basically their health service is good enough to deal with numbers of cases coming through the doors. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see how Sweden do, because like, everyone else is doing it this way, and we kind of know, or we kind of feel like this is the safest bet. Separate everybody, keep everybody in their houses, and no one gets the coronavirus.
yeah. Hopefully,
Yeah, hopefully. So like, it'd be really interesting to see how Sweden does it. Because like Boris Johnson was. I remember reading the comments when I heard that he had the coronavirus, and I'm kind of paying attention to the fact that him having it, and so you had to go into what's it called, critical care, had to be put on
yeah,
a ventilator. So I was like, I was looking at a UK kind of news outlet that were talking about the story, and I always look at the comments anytime I like this, because I wanted to see what it kind of gives you an example of what's the thought around the country. And everyone's like, oh yeah, of course they have a ventilator for him, that's a bloody joke, they had all these spare ventilators just in case he got sick, and oh, of course he gets a bed. And everyone was giving it, instead of being like, oh, I hope our Prime Minister gets well and wish them all the best. Like, of course you're gonna, like, for like the royal family, and for like even doctors, or for members of parliament, they're going to have a certain amount of care there for them in case they're getting sick, especially when they're going shaking hands with with like a corona patient virus. I'm sure the doctor in that ward is like, just keep a spare one for that Barris lad, because like, we're going to see like hundreds of cases of politicians getting sick now. He's going to literally get infected and go shake everybody else's hands that's in the Conservative Party.
poor old Boris.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I do feel sorry for him. I actually kind of, I don't know, I like him as a kind of a person. I wouldn't trust him to run like Ireland, but like, just as a political figure, as a person, the way he goes on is quite entertaining. Like, he is an entertaining like politician. He isn't dull as
Yeah,
tap. And I think for the UK, a lot of UK people, they can kind of relate to Barris, the way he kind of
yeah.
goes on. So I kind of think he is a kind of liked Prime Minister of the UK, even though, like, if you look in comments on Facebook, it's just horrendous abuse he gets.
Some of the stuff people are saying about him is like ridiculous.
Yeah, it was Donald Trump. Like, his approval ratings going up now. Like, Barris, at least he's kind of following medical advice, but like the US, like, disease control part of the branch. They're like everyone needs to wear face masks and gloves. And Donald Trump was asked like, would he wear a face mask?
Yeah, he's like, no, I won't be doing
I won't be doing that. I was like, you're high risk, and you're the president of America. You're meant to lead by example. And he's like, I don't think it's important.
Yeah, no,
He's
I won't
like,
be doing that.
you really should do that. And one of his I think is his son-in-law, Jared, or I don't know his name. I think it might be Jared though. And he's kind of one of the people leading the coronavirus, this battle with coronavirus. And the federal government has emergency supply of like ventilators, face protector masks, and a reporter asked him, "Will you be using those, giving those to states?" And they're like, "No, that's not the idea. That's not the idea. These are the federal government's ventilators and emergency. This is for the federal government. This isn't for the states." And they're like, What's the difference between like the federal government and the states? I thought the federal government was the United States. So
I like America's a bit of a mess at the minute, really.
yeah, it's kind of weird to look at how other countries are kind of taking on this themselves, because it really shows like we always thought all politicians are the same. They're really not. They're really, really not.
Like, see, like, just I suppose for listeners who aren't in Ireland, like our Taoiseach, our Prime Minister, is a doctor, and he has reactivated his medical license to like go and work again.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. This was actually because I was looking at this story as well throughout the week, and I just first of all I wanted to see how many international media. So look, New York Times were reporting on this, and BBC were reporting on this. None of them use Taoiseach. First of all, it is Taoiseach. Like,
Yeah.
no, get that right. And you could even have Taoiseach in first commas Prime Minister. They didn't even do that. They were like, yeah, it's Prime Minister. It's a Taoiseach. Anyway, rant over. Then I read the New York Times report on this, and
Yeah.
it was a little bit clickbaity. And like I don't want to diminish what Leo Varadkar is doing, because I'm sure he's a busy guy. Like, running a country is enough of a hassle to do, let alone then taking on a side job, which is being a doctor. Like, your side job is a doctor, it's quite a lot. But like, all he isn't like dealing with patients. He isn't like front line as such. Like, what he's doing, he's going to work half day on 1 day a week on a call basis, where he's going to take a number of patients and basically just ask them questions over the phone.
Yeah, the purpose of that though is because he's a GP. That's what GPs are doing at the minute.
I don't know if it was a GP or like he had his own practice, or if he worked in a hospital. But like, yeah, he said he's going to stick to basically his lane in this. He's like, I'm going to stick to what I'm good at, or what I did for 7 years. So maybe, like, obviously dealing with like the coronavirus, and he probably, although he would have read up a lot about it, being the Taoiseach, I don't know if you know the best course of medicines for treating corona patient virus. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. So maybe that's why he's doing a call center. Maybe like having like your Taoiseach or your Prime Minister or your President getting infected is kind of high risk for your country. So maybe that's the reason why he isn't being put on the front line as such. Not to diminish any of the work that GPs are doing across the country, who are answering like thousands of calls each day with people not only having coronavirus illnesses, but other illnesses as well.
Imagine like ringing up to talk to a doctor. You're like, oh, I don't feel well. I think maybe I have something. You ring up to talk to a doctor, and you get put onto the Taoiseach.
But like a politician, like generally speaking, politician is the worst person to get a straight answer out. That would be an awful job. You're like, I just want to know if I can get a test. Well, I can't talk about that right now. Well, I'll look into it. Well, we possibly could test you. I can't give you a straight figure right now, but I just want a yes or no answer. Well, like that's generally what politician is, not to give a straight answer and do roundabout answering to questions. So I kind of would like to see what him give like straight answers for once. That'd be quite interesting to see that. But yeah, there's definitely a skit show for anyone who does like impersonations or does skit shows. Like they've just got like about 2 months worth of like material right there. Like there's a show on Today FM called Gift Grub where they do this kind of thing.
Yeah,
I can't wait. Like your man who does it will
Mario
yeah,
Rosenstock.
Mario Rosenstock will be like he'll be loving this. He'll be like yes. Like this is his answer. This is like the biggest like present for him now. It is to deal with
Yeah,
this.
he needed something during this coronavirus thing.
Yeah. Now, kind of like last few weeks or a month, 2 months, we've been doing the show throughout the coronavirus. It's kind of been mostly related coronavirus stories, and
Yeah.
this week is kind of no different. So I'm gonna go. We do have one or two other stories that aren't coronavirus related. So for people who are like just overwhelmed with coronavirus, maybe skip halfway through, and we'll have less coronavirus stuff. But right now, we're going to deal with some of the other coronavirus stories. And the first one that I want to talk about is one that was talked about by mainstream news. And it is kind of a story that is like a typical Shy Talk podcast show story. It has everything. It has an animal, has like humans doing something weird, like because the animal has this, and it was covered by the mainstream news. This is kind of like a story that like it just shows that even mainstream news are running out of stories to talk about when they're talking about stories like this. This would be usually reserved to like a B or C styled news outlet to cover this. But this was covered by everybody, and this was the first case of a tiger or a cat, large cat, getting the coronavirus. This happened in the New York Zoo. Did you hear about the story, or have you been following the story?
Yeah, I just seen something about it on Facebook. I didn't look into it too much though.
Yeah, so several lions and a few tigers had showed symptoms of respiratory problems, and and other kind of coronavirus related illnesses. So they tested one of the tigers, and it came back positive for the coronavirus. So they're kind of wondering how this happened. Now the biggest thing is that was one of the people at the zoo gave the coronavirus to one of the big cats, maybe an employee, because they get a little bit closer to tigers and all the other animals than the general public. Generally, it's behind like a kind of a glass or a protective cover of some
Yeah.
sort. I personally think, this is my conspiracy theory, they were really feeding tigers corona patients, and this is all going to come out in the next few years. Is that they had an overwhelming number of bodies, and they also needed to feed the tigers, and a few of the food outlets were closed. They're like, just give them corona patient by people, and this is all going to come out in a Netflix documentary about a year from now.
Mark, did you just recently watch Tiger King?
Maybe.
Is that the basis for this
This
conspiracy
is pretty
theory?
much the basis. I've been watching Tiger King. That is literally the full basis of it. I was actually thinking about this a lot.
So what you're saying is Carol Baskin gave a tiger coronavirus.
Well, I don't want to like blame anyone in particular. I think we might be responsible for reliability there. I'm not going to blame only one number of people, but like you'd have to get within 6 feet of it, or you could like the way bats got it was way we got it was from bats, from someone eating a bat. Oh, I think it wasn't from eating a bat. I think they were around a load of bats, so they didn't actually eat the bat. So maybe you don't have to digest the animal in order to get the coronavirus. So I might be wrong, but you know what? I might be right.
What I'm most kind of curious about is how did they test the tiger? They're like that stick a swab
I
down
would
your
not like to
throat
be
and up
that
your
person who
nose.
sticks it up their nose and down their throat.
Yeah, like, how the fuck did they test the tiger?
It's like four employees lost their life testing that
Because
one
like
tiger.
I'd imagine you'd find that like a vet to sedate a tiger with respiratory issues would be very rare.
Yeah, well, imagine they have like a trank gun.
Yeah, but like to if you trank an animal that has respiratory issues, like you're increasing the risk of it going into respiratory failure.
Oh yeah, that would yeah. And getting a fucking ventilator for a tiger would be that's a
Yeah.
specialized device right there. I don't fully know how they tested it. Maybe they gave it like not Voltarol, Valium.
Vulture.
Yeah. They gave it like Valium, and they just kind of was like, hey, like they probably just drugged it so that it would be very passive. Because that's I imagine what they do. A lot of kind of like those animal shows. I say that the animals are just heavily drugged, and
Yeah.
then that allowed the vet to go in, do his thing, and test it, like stick it in his nose. I don't know if you can do it via blood. Maybe he just had like a really large needle and a syringe with a stick attached to it. He stuck it in.
It's fucking mad. Like,
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I do have a friend that's going out with a vet, and I think we know a few vets in the club. We could ask them and get back to our listeners on how in fact do you test a tiger, and who do they like pull straws? Who got the short straw? Was it like a World Cup level of rock paper scissors, and the like loser of it gets to test that tiger for the coronavirus. Like these are questions that will never be known, or might come out in that Netflix documentary
yeah, to come out in a Netflix documentary now next year.
next year over like selling of diseased humans to zoos.
Yeah.
Like this is something that we know is probably going to come out anyway.
It,
Yeah, but like first of all, I thought it was weird that like I guess it is a kind of big story that like humans can pass it on to animals, because I did hear people saying that like there were people like bringing their animals to like shelters to kind of protect them from themselves, like or buying them cages and locking up the and like they had to go out and say like we don't actually know for certain if your cat can get the coronavirus. It's a different species of cats. If they can, and there's no knowledge of humans infecting any other animals other than like this one instance of tigers. But it would be kind of interesting to know if they could actually, if like humans could actually infect your dog, though. Surely, if it gets into a tiger, it
yeah.
could get into a cat.
There, there's been a couple of dogs that have tested positive.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there's a couple of dogs, and there is one domestic cat.
Yeah. So like, if we know like it can get into like tigers, you imagine it like could we ever get into like a cat, a house cat, because like they're in the same species of animals.
But like they're still saying that it's extremely rare. Like it's it's nothing to be worried about. Like it's
Yeah,
extremely
yeah,
rare.
yeah.
And
Like
there's no evidence of it working the other way. Like there's no evidence of say like your dog having it and giving it to you.
yeah, exactly. I think it's when it's in the animal, I have to have a very similar kind of germ pattern, so that it can actually develop into humans. Like there's a load of diseases that are in certain other animals that just aren't the humans won't be affected because it can't mutate into like a cell that like humans can actually catch.
Yeah,
But it's when they do kind of because they constantly do mutate. That's why humans got the coronavirus only recently, is because they mutated into a cell that can be absorbed by humans, and that's probably what happened with cats. There's this one weird case of like of a cell that's mutating into like one that can be taken on by cats, and there's apparently a dog one now as well.
yeah, and you see the tiger in the zoo and all the other cats, they're all fucking isolated, so they're not going to pass it on to each other.
Well, apparently they already did, because like not only well
Yeah,
maybe
within the
that
same zoo, like.
yeah maybe that one person passed it on to all the other cat and like because there's like a few tigers and a few other ones. Yeah, the one that you'd have to kind of watch out for would be if birds kind of caught it, because
Yeah.
birds roam everywhere. Like they fly like they're pretty hard. That's why where was I think swine flu was like so hard to catch, was because like birds fly. It's very hard to catch.
There was a case of bird flu in Cork or somewhere recently.
Yeah, it was just before coronavirus really hit Ireland. There was a case of bird flu. All right, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's been mad.
I don't know what happened to it though. I think we all just kind of forgot
I
about
don't
it.
think.
It could be rampant, is still in Cork, and we just haven't heard about it. Uh,
Nobody cares about it at the minute.
yeah, so a lot of industries have been actually affected by the coronavirus, and even if you're still operating, you're probably operating severely differently than possibly the way you normally would have operated. And one of the ways this is affecting certain is drug gangs. So they've had to dramatically change their way of operations. So
Yeah,
this is according to UK kind of police. This isn't an Irish study. This is over in the UK, and they're saying drug dealers are dressing up in disguises in order to avoid detection. So the kind of people that they're dressing up as is they're dressing up as like doctors and delivery workers because of the coronavirus, because they're the only people that can actually get out on the street. They're essential workers that can actually be out on the street without being questioned. So this is according to West Midlands Police. They report dramatically fall in like violence, robberies, stuff like that, and drug related incidents between March and compared to this year in March. And it was 109 drug related offences was caught in March last year, and then there was 100 or 381 this year. So you know, massive fall in drug use or drug related kind of crimes. So they're like, oh, is this related to like just people having to stay in their houses? And they're saying, well, not necessarily. There's kind of coming harder to detect, and a well-placed police source. This is all according to him, who deals with the 46 police forces around the nation. He was reporting dealers were dressing up as supermarket personnel, delivery workers in uniforms, and other kind of disguises in order to drop off their packages or their drug dealers' offences. So like, I don't know, there could be like a drug dealer going around in a Tesco uniform. Or as any other supermarket chain selling it over here. So like they're having to
you
act.
need
What?
you need a letter from your employer though to confirm your employment.
Yeah, you also do. We were actually given that. I think I lost mine, but yeah. So like, I think well, that thing is like really easily like copied. Like it is. It's just like your employer's name, a signature, and then like the logo on a fetted piece of paper, and it says this person is allowed to go to work.
Yeah,
Yeah. So and this is not the only way. Drug dealers was trying to sneak around. There's people dressing up as fitness fanatics. So I know in Ireland there's like a 2 kilometer radius where you can run to. So that might hamper drug dealers because they only could be 2 kilometers away from their houses. And yeah, basically people going out for a run. Like they're saying the biggest market for this is with heroin dealers and crack cocaine. People selling crack cocaine because apparently that estimate for 300,000 frequent heroin and crack uses are basically every year. That they absorb about like 300,000 of the 5 billion in the market, like of the entire illegal drug market. It's like of which isn't actually that much. Like 300,000 is a very small number of cases of people doing those drugs.
yeah. But like you'd imagine with the lockdown, would it been like harder for them to get around and stuff that maybe a lot of people would end up detoxing and coming off drugs.
Well, I was talking to people who quit smoking. No, it's a different kind of addiction and a different kind of habit. And people said they've actually went back going vaping, and they know people who've started back smoking because of the lockdown. Because there's basically nothing to do, kind of calms them down a bit, and they're like, yeah. So I imagine people like would use recreational drugs in the same way, or
Yeah, but if they're harder to get, like cigarettes, you can get cigarettes in every fucking shop. Like you can't get drugs everywhere.
well, drug dealers are also coming up with innovative ways to actually get around. So minicab. This is according to a minicab driver who told Vice, who were doing this whole article, he normally ferries kids around schools around this time. He does school runs, but now he's actually he's very busy with driving drug dealers around town. So basically, what they're doing is they're having drugs. They have their drugs with them, and they're just in cabs, and they're going around cabs. And then if that cab does get stopped by the police, and then the person in the cab is being asked where they're going, maybe they're dressed as like a Tesco worker, and they're like, or a supermarket chain worker, and they're like, I'm going to work. He's dropping to work, but really he's going to sell drugs. Maybe that's the way they're getting around. But minicar driver, that's what he's saying, they're getting around. Also, interesting enough about this story, it said that they're also resorting to like social distance norms. So like what they're doing, they're seeing more and more people doing is they're throwing money into a bush, and then the drug dealer will collect the money and leave the drugs, and then the person comes back and collects the drugs. So they have like stash spots and other drug dealers are using contactless payments in order to actually get the money for the drugs. So they're actually not handling cash because they don't think it's safe. But like there are some cases of people still swapping drugs through their mouths. A lot of kind of drug dealers were still passing wraps through their mouths of crack and heroin. Yeah, so some people really aren't taking the advice of health workers and actually still doing it. But apparently, drug dealers around the country, or UK that is, are making lists of high risk drug users that are like kind of like, okay, I'm not accepting money off this person right now because they are high risk of catching the coronavirus. So I'm going to use like some kind of like electronic payment in order to try to like get the money off them.
That's a bit mental, like.
Yeah, it would be very hard to kind of like, because anything electronic, it's easy to track. So there's a paper trail.
Yeah, like they're leaving a massive paper trail there.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought that was quite interesting of kind of like drug dealers and how they're getting around to kind of like sell their drugs. Now, that was in the UK, and I don't think I don't know if they're enforcing it, like there's police fines, and I know there's still like just been working around Dublin and Kildare recently there, and even around the country there isn't a lot of checkpoints around Ireland, so I imagine that they could get around right now. I know that is changing from this week on.
It changed today.
Yeah, so members of the guards are going to be possibly detaining people who are breaking obviously the 2 kilometer distance for exercise or non-essential work, non-essential journeys, and I thought that was a bit mad as well because like I've said on this podcast that I think we should be doing more in terms of clamping down on this, because there really isn't. There are a load of cases of people breaking the restrictions or going to shops multiple times a day, and other kind of like cases like that. So they've brought in a maximum sentence of 6 months and a €2,500 fine, which is a lot of money for like a person who possibly is out of work, and 6 months in prison is like half a year. So that's a really harsh sentence. Like there's rape cases in Ireland that like do like maybe 3 years. Like there's like that seems excessive compared to like our fucking ridiculous other prison sentences that we give out.
I think though the prison sentence only applies if you can't or you won't pay the fine.
So imagine if a person's out of work, like a lot of people would live, if not week to week, month to month. €2,500 would be a lot of money for. I know generally what courts do if they set up some sort of payment scheme. Like if you have income coming in, it might be €100, €200 a week until it's over, until you finish paying. And like it's not like if you don't have €2,500, you're going to prison for 6 months. But I heard that is for people who are breaking kind of the rules on social distancing and non-essential journeys. And they're also clamping down on people who are being told by the HSE to self-isolate. So if there was a case of a person who has sent off for a test and they've been told by their GP to self-isolate, if they're caught, they apparently get a lesser sentence. Now, this is based off somebody was telling me, and not based off anything I read. Now, both articles I read didn't mention this, so it mightn't be true. But someone else was telling me that it's only 3 months in prison if you break a HSE order to self isolate and go outside, and it's a lesser of a fine. Now, I looked at the RTE website and Joe.e, and they both didn't have that up on their article, so I don't know where exactly that source of information came down. But it would be mad if it was the case.
Oh, it'd be totally mental.
That'd be insane if that actually was the case, of the fact that you get less of a sentence for, more than likely you have it. If you're getting tested for it, I think the kind of criteria for Irish people in order to get tested for the coronavirus is you have to have a minimum of 2 or 3 symptoms. I think I don't know if we relaxed that law with community spreading. But I'd say it's more similar enough. The case, although there is still a lot of cases come back negative, there's a good chance that you could have the coronavirus if you're being tested for it.
Oh yeah, it's probably a 75% chance that you have it if you've been tested.
Yeah. So I thought that was a bit weird. I thought that was a bit mad for that. If the was the case, it would be a fucking lesser sentence. But like I said, I did very minimal research, but I did a little bit of research, and I couldn't find that on the internet, so that mightn't be true. Just put it out there. It might not be true.
Big surprise, minimal research was done.
Yeah, exactly. I looked at 2 websites, RT didn't talk about it, so that's a good parameter, and then Geo.ie, I don't know. That's hit or miss, but so I kind of then left the coronavirus. So this is part of the show for everybody who's like, okay, I'm so sick and tired of the coronavirus. This is the part where we drop the coronavirus and we start talking about something else. Yeah. So the first story I have is about a hangover cure. So this, once again, maybe you're a bit of a home drinker now. Monday and Saturday, there's no difference, so you might as well drink throughout the week, and you come down on enough hangovers. This might help you. Before I get into it, do you have any kind of hangover cures yourself?
I don't really do it so much anymore, but I used to, from I'd say the age of 18 to about 22. I used to always go to Eddie Rockets the next morning.
Eddie Rockets, yeah, I can kind of see with Eddie Rockets because it is kind of salty foods, and salts help you hold on to water, so that might help. I always found I always just drank a lot of water. Sometimes if it's not too bad, I think just moving around, and if you pretend you don't have if you pretend, I was gonna say coronavirus. If you pretend, this is definitely not advice. If you have the coronavirus, this definitely won't work. But if you pretend you're not hungover, and go about your day as if you didn't have a hangover, sometimes you you can work off the hangover. Sometimes I go to the gym and do exercises, and I might try to sweat it out. But sometimes I also feel a lot worse when I do that. So that's not a proven cure. But I think a fry can help, or soup can help. Fry and soup is kind of go to.
Soup?
Yeah, soup. It's kind of just puts a lining on your stomach. I think it's just there's a good bit of vitamins in soup. I think there's antioxidants in soup as well, and then there's also a little bit of salt there, so your body holds on to all the water, and so kind of can help. And you have a bit of bread with that. It's kind of
you want Eddie Rockets and Chinese. That's what you want.
You want heavy foods, heavily salted.
That's what you want.
Yeah. So this comes from so this cure. And this gets sent me down a whirlwind of kind of other Jesus Christ is in my head now. other kind of hangover cures. These aren't cures for the coronavirus. These are cures for a hangover. So this is from a world-renowned chef. Fergus Henderson is his name. So if you're kind of
Never heard of him.
no, me either. He doesn't have a TV show on RTE. I haven't heard of him basically.
He's not Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, his kind of like how he found out about this is because he loves day drinking, aka he might be a slight bit of an alcoholic, and
Allegedly.
this was passed down from his father to himself, so it's gone down through the generations, and apparently, so it's basically stood the test of time. It worked for his father, it worked for him. He thinks it might work for us. So he has a drink, a two ingredient drink, or three if you can include the ice for to cure your hangover. He said this kind of makes it, this will work for you if you want. You might come self reliant on this, which also made me think you might have a slight bit of a drinking problem. Who knows? No one's judging here. This isn't a judging podcast. Well, slightly
At the minute.
At the minute. So the drink, his drink is 1 part Fernet Branca, or 2
Right.
parts. What?
Right.
2 parts Fernet Branca and 1 part Crème de la Menthe.
So his hangover cure is to drink more alcohol.
Yeah. That's. I was actually surprised that you knew what Crème de la Menthe is.
Yeah, it's actually all right.
Yeah, it's but for people who don't know, Crème de la Menthe is a kind of a sweet and minty flavored alcohol. It's about 25%, and the Fernet Branca is actually kind of a bitter kind of herbal liqueur. So you put 2 parts that, 1 part Crème de la Menthe, which is about 25% alcohol in it, by the way. So if you have to work the next day, don't wake up and drink this. You will be over the limit, and you will probably, I wouldn't say you probably will get arrested, but if you are arrested, you probably will fail that breathalyzer test. The fact that you probably still have a lot of alcohol in your system anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, he said just mix together the drink and add ice. Yeah, and he said the second kind of advice for you was be careful. This is effective, and you can become self-reliant on this. Which might lead you to think that you might have a bit of a drinking problem.
Yeah,
he might be actually talking from personal experience. So I was like, oh, there's probably other weird kind of like hangover cures, because it's like I'm pretty sure everybody has a hangover cure. Everybody has something that they fall back on in order to, when they're hungover, that might work, or at least they have it because it might make them feel better. Well, there's
orange juice is another good one.
Yeah, well, there's I can't drink orange juice the next day because like it hurts my throat.
Well, orange juice is good for you.
It isn't. It's because there's no fiber. Your body doesn't absorb any of the nutrients, and eating fruit, because it has fiber, that fiber helps to break down the sugar that actually is in fruit, so it doesn't have the same effects as like eating a bar of chocolate. So when you take away the fiber, basically you're just getting all that sugar and no way to kind of help your body break it down, I think.
Yeah, well, it makes you feel better though.
Makes you feel better. It does make you feel better. I don't know about hungover because it hurts my throat if I have it the next day. And I don't know if that's something me. But there's this hangover drink called More, and you drink it when you've kind of been out drinking. And I don't know if you're meant to drink it before or after. And it's made from a patented and pending technology designed to boost your body's natural response to alcohol and restore vital nutrients, help you feel better when drinking it. So and it costs only, for the low price of $35, which I thought was a little bit horrendous in terms of pricing for it. But yeah, I love it.
It's a steal.
Yeah, I love it. It says patent and pending. So basically, they're not too sure if they'll actually get the patent for mixing foods together. Because I imagine like getting a patent for any type of food would be very, very hard.
Oh yeah,
because imagine someone could patent like a chicken curry.
Yeah.
And like they get a time percentage every time somebody makes a chicken curry. It'd be really, really responsive. So then I was looking at it and I was like, I'll just check out some of the reviews, and it was reviewed by Batman.
But Batman.
Yeah, and he quite liked it. He gave it 5 stars. So Batman said about it. He said this drink is this is amazing. And yes, it actually works. Now, this also made me believe that Batman may have a drinking problem. So, because he put up in his reviews, he goes, "I can put down quite a few beers, and I drink a bottle of this before I start drinking, and then during I drink two, and then when I finish drinking, I drink another one before bed." So apparently, you have to drink a lot of this stuff, before. Oh my god, he has the coronavirus. Before it actually works.
What is it?
It's basically just it's made by a company called More, and or it could be More, could be the name of it, and basically it's just basically a hangover cure. And I don't know if it actually works. Batman says it does work though.
It doesn't say what's in it or anything, like.
No, I'm sure since they don't have the patent for the ingredients, they don't want to put it out on their description page in case like a company could like that's more bigger than them.
There's something like that already available.
Oh,
Though.
there's loads of really
Yeah.
bad cures for hangovers that apparently you drink before. There's actually a pill that you can take.
Yeah. I
That's
can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember what it's called that you take. Some that like I have taken it and I have stopped hangovers. I've taken it and it hasn't, so I don't think it works.
It just depends on how much you're drinking.
Yeah, that's very true. So kind of send me down a wormhole of weird kind of other cures for your hangover. And one person put up a shot of pickle juice.
Sick.
Yeah, so the science behind a shot of pickle juice is that pickles contain electrolytes, which you lose while drinking. So that's the idea of taking a shot of pickle juice, and you basically knock it back, and apparently you get a shot of like electrolytes, and there you go. Now, anybody that's ever had Lucasade Sport also knows that Lucasade Sport
It has
contains
electrolytes.
electrolytes. So I don't know. Maybe just like pickle juice. You could drink pickle juice, or you could drink Lucasade Sport. I don't
Or
know.
you can actually buy a like little powder sachet thing of electrolyte drink
Oh yeah,
things.
actually, yeah, that's actually what I do. A lot of times when I'm drinking, I actually have sachets of electrolytes, and I'll have them with like a fry can kind of work because of salt content,
Yeah.
and that can actually help. Yeah, those sachets of electrolytes. If you want a pretty good cure for it, because they actually quite taste nice. A lot of them come in like blackcurrant flavors. They're quite good.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
They're not too bad. But yeah, if maybe just want to punish yourself, when I was reading these, I kind of think like people must feel kind of bad for going out drinking, so they're like, I'm gonna do this thing that'll help me cure this hangover, but it's also a bit of a punishment. And I think maybe if you are that way inclined, that's why you're sticking to your shot of pickle juice. Shot out
That's
there.
just disgusting. Like that is
Yeah.
fucking sick.
Another person put up eating a honey on toast sandwich. Well, first of all, honey on toast isn't a sandwich; it's toast. So basically, there's no real evidence this actually cures your hangover. This was up on when I read into it. It just said toast is light, so eating light foods is good. So and that's big and greasy like fries. Apparently, can give you a lot of antacid. So they're not really the best thing to be eating if you've been out drinking, and you're better off sticking to like light foods. It says so. Yeah, they said basically honey on toast is quite light, and some people says it works. I don't know what the science behind it would be, but I love honey on toast. It's probably my favorite topping on toast is honey.
Nutella.
Nutella on toast is pretty good, yeah. But honey is pretty good.
What you do is you get 2 slices of toast.
Mm?
You put Nutella on the 2 slices, and you put some rashers on top of it. Then you make a sandwich.
Wait, go back there. Rewind. You said Nutella and then rashers on top of that.
Yeah,
I don't. I haven't tried it. I don't know
you
if we will.
should.
We'll try it. But yeah, that could be on our list of discussing foods that we did a while ago.
Yeah, give that a go.
No,
Do you
that's
like rashers?
yeah. I do like rashers.
Do you like Nutella?
I love Nutella. Yeah,
Do you like toast?
yeah.
What's the problem?
Well, I also like gravy, and
Yeah,
I like curries. I'm not gonna put
yeah.
gravy into my curry.
Why not?
Oh, you can get beef curries actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I like gravies and like salads. I'm not gonna pour my gravy onto my salad.
Why not?
That could be literally your answer for everything. Why not?
Yeah, but like, why not?
I don't think it would be that nice. Be the why not?
Yeah, but like Nutella and rashers complement each other because you've got that sweet and you've got the salty.
Yeah, obviously this. Yeah, because we've talked about this before. Like all these real odd recipes that you find kind of have one common thing in common. They're all kind of a savory taste and a sweet taste, and apparently a lot of people enjoy kind of the kind of combination of the two.
Yeah, that's how
And
it works.
yeah, so the final kind of cure for hangovers that I found that like uh, I thought was quite interesting was one that I mentioned at the start, which was a soup. Now they said this is a Misco soup, which I have no idea what Misco is. I probably should have researched what Misco is. But yeah, but they basically said Misco soup for hangovers is good because it has water and has salt content. So basically, water rehydrates yourself, and while the salt helps your body to hold on to that water, which we already know. And it says that Livestrong, who apparently has a book out about cures for it was called Doctor Hangover, and basically has different things you should be eating if you have a hangover and way to kind of cure yourself out of a hangover. It says Misco is made from fermented soybeans and fermented foods. So just plain good, and I don't know if soy is that good for you. I think that's questionable. And yeah, it's basically good for your gut anyway. And according to Livestrong, is a win-win. So basically, soup's good for your gut and gut bacteria, I guess, and it contains salt and water, and that's why he says it's good for your whatever Misco is. Obviously made from fermented.
Don't don't like most soups contain water and salt?
Yeah, especially the packets, especially those powder soups that you can buy.
Yeah,
They contain a lot of salt.
yeah, like it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I think that might be though why your Eddie Rockets cure might actually work for you. Because anytime I have
Yeah,
Eddie Rockets, I come out there feeling slightly dehydrated because of all the salt content, obviously in their foods. It's like heavily salted.
yeah, it's really good though.
Yeah, it is. Like I'm not dissing Eddie Rockets. Like a good Eddie Rockets would be quite nice right now.
Yeah,
I
or
noticed
McDonald's. I'm kind of missing McDonald's.
McDonald's. Yeah, because you kind of after every podcast you used to go for a McDonald's. So
Yeah,
you might be kind of feeling kind of withdrawal symptoms from
sad.
McDonald's.
Sad. I would say sad.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in Ireland are craving the pub. Like literally every conversation I have with a person is like I miss the pub. I
Yeah,
really
I don't really miss the pub that much.
I never really went to the pub too often, but I miss the pub.
Yeah, like, I couldn't be arsed.
I know one of the lads one of the lads in a group chat that we're in was like sometimes I just close my eyes and I pretend that I'm in a pub.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, yeah, I sit at my back and I pretend like I'm in the smoking area.
Yeah,
Just
I
not
have a question. I actually have a question about that comment. Like, do you set something on fire?
No, no, just to stand at the back.
So,
Stand
so
there.
then you're in
If
a
any,
very empty smoking area.
just if anyone comes out to me and go, oh, this is the only place I can get a seat. It's like inside is packed. Let's go and get some fresh air.
I actually prefer like kind of like house party drinking and stuff. Like I don't really like going to the pub that much.
For a good pint, and then you sit down with a nice pack of crisps,
Yeah, if it's not too
a
packed, but
nice seat.
if everybody's like, oh, let's go out on a Saturday.
Yeah.
No, let's not.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends what humor I'm in. I kind of do like I do like sometimes being out in a busy pub and like there's a bit of crack going. It can be too loud sometimes. It depends kind of like what kind of music is playing. But right now I take a noisy crappy pub.
See, I don't like when there's too many people.
I like people. I
No, it's
know. I
when there's too
know.
many people, then you can't get a drink.
Yeah, I know. Like from my comments previously on the podcast about not liking to talk to people or people talking to me or people being on planes near me or people eating. But being in a nice pub's nice. It's nice, like atmosphere, especially if you're in a smoking area. There's like a bit of a heat coming off it. There isn't too many people smoking, which is good.
just,
I like
just chilling.
I'd like a non-smoking smoking area, like like a place where it's outside isn't too busy and people aren't smoking. That'd be my ideal thing, but there's no like non-smoking beer gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even just being when there's like kind of a big fight on, being in pubs or big match on is kind of good.
You see, going to I don't know, like going watching fights in public, particularly MMA fights in public, annoys me.
Yeah, I know. I can understand why it annoys you. Um, I don't mind if it's like boxing because I'm not as emotionally attached to boxing.
Yeah.
I kind of can get away with watching boxing matches in pubs. But yeah, you always get people who really know nothing about fighting making comments. I kind of have to just drown those people out.
Did I tell you about when I went to see Bellator?
I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, and like the guy was like, every time there was a takedown, he was like, stand him up, stand him up, stand him up. So I started shouting like, light him down every time that it started standing.
Bring her to the ground, you pussy!
Yes, like, light him down.
We want to see these guys on the ground fight like a man.
Yeah, like fighting the ground.
Fight on the ground or live your life like a coward for the rest of your life.
Yeah, like imagine applying the same logic to like, like people are always like, stand up and fight like a man.
Yeah.
Like, imagine applying that same logic just because you want to see like a ground fight.
Oh, but
If you don't go down there on the ground and fight, you're a pussy.
well, sometimes I'm watching grappling matches and I was like, would you ever just sit the fuck down? So I kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of do apply that logic to like grappling matches. I kind of like get it to the fucking ground where all the action is. Like if you're in a grappling match and you're not like, and you're just like hand fighting like for over 4 minutes, the referee should put his boat in mount. Just like you're gonna get a minute mount in each, and you're gonna stay there, or like have a tape. They should wear like shock collars, and just, the organizers just go like, if this fight isn't on the ground in a minute, one of you's are getting electrocuted. This is going to happen. Like I think I just fix like grappling.
That's ADCC sorted for next year.
ADCC sorts for next year. I was kind of like thinking if you had like a small grappling promotion, if you had a small MMA promotion right now, you should try to get in contact with sports like a TV dealer because like they are looking out for sports right now. Apparently,
Oh yeah.
Apparently someone was saying that like I think it might be new. Were you saying about there's some football that's still happening in some country and they've been offered millions to Sky Sports offered them millions to showcase the football?
Nope.
Okay. They seem like kind of odd, but apparently there is still some football league still going on because it isn't as effective in that country, and Sky Sports has actually paid for the rights to show the football on the TV. I don't know if this is true because I don't follow Sky Sports or football.
Did you see what Dana White did?
What did they and White do?
Did you not see this?
Is this about the
So,
island?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like he owns his own little private island, and he's going to showcase his sports. All I heard it was like I did kind of read this story, and it was like Dana White and Joe Rogan, and then I was like, okay, I'll click into it. Then I realized it was clickbait, and then I just didn't read the rest of it.
Yeah, so he bought this island um off the coast of California, I think, and he's going to like show a fight every. There's going to be like fights every week
Yeah, they're gonna
because
go back to a
it's the
regular
only
schedule.
sport like.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like I did hear an interview because Luke Thomas was talking about this. He used to present MMA Hour after Ariel Hawani. He was saying basically, yeah, he was basically had audio from Dana White talking about this as well. And Dana White says, I don't need money. This isn't about the money. This has never been about the money. I can live for the next 5 years. I've I've a pretty good house. Like he started to start talking about his wealth, and like basically he was saying, yeah, this isn't about the money. Certain fighters are also people who are criticizing are coming out trying to defend Dana White's decision, saying that like we have to get paid, and like this is the only way we can get paid, the only way we can provide for our families, and this is why. But like, yeah, it seems like ridiculous.
like why not just do like Bellator did and suspend like postpone the fights and pay the fighters like a proportion of what they would have been paid, and the rest is to be paid when they actually fight.
Yeah, apparently, see, all UFC fighters are contractors. They're independent, so they live in the same realm of like professional wrestlers, boxers. They're all technically self-employed, so they have no employees rights. So in terms of like benefits, I don't know if they can collect even like social benefits like or corona wages because of their employment stature. I'm not too sure. So obviously this affects smaller, lesser known fighters rather than big names like Conor McGregor and John Jones, guys who probably can go a year without being paid and not being a huge big deal to them.
John Jones can't go a year without like getting arrested.
Well, actually, he got arrested, yeah, for recently enough as well.
Yeah.
So apparently, the whole clickbait was that Joe Rogan's actually going to be on duty for this as well. So I don't know how true that is.
Did he not say he wasn't going to? He's not leaving his house or some shit.
I'm not too sure. Like I wasn't paying too much attention to it. Dana White said he's going to do it. I'm not too sure. Like I think what Dana White wanted to do was he do it from his studio where he records his podcast and do kind of like a fight companion style just for ESPN.
All right. Okay.
That could be like he could do it remotely. Like he could do that easily remotely. He's probably better view of the action is from what you get on screen. The only thing
Yeah.
is, I think there's a slight delay in kind of like in order to get the audio, it would be a slight delay. So you'd have to run I don't know if you'd have to do non-live, like pre-recorded and do it that way, or if there'd be like a minute delay on from what the action happened in the fight to like the viewer seeing it. Because what would happen, it would have to go to Joe Rogan first. So that means like Joe would have to have a live stream of it that's different to
Yeah.
the pay-per-view live stream, and then the audio that he's recording would be sent back into like kind of like a technical area where people will be like putting up Joe's commentary with the fight that's happening. So it'd be very technical. If it could definitely be done. I know Chael Sonnen had a Submission Underground event recently enough. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And I don't know how he got around the coronavirus thing. I know it was really weird kind of rules they had for social distancing. So both fighters had to stay opposite sides of the cage because he doesn't in cage, and they had option if they wanted to shake hands, even though they're going to be lying on top of each other like in a few seconds. And if one or two of them kind of did the elbow kind of bump instead of shake hands. Other ones refused to shake the opponent's hands, even though they're, like I said, lying on top of each other.
Yeah. They're going to
And
grab each other's
yeah,
fingers anyway.
yeah, exactly. Then, and then the referee wasn't allowed to come in contact with them as well. The referee had to say, like, shout from a distance to stop. and basically awarded the winner without touching it. And then the ring was disinfected after each fighter. And Chael Sonnen couldn't be at ringside; he'd be in a different room, and all the fighters had to be in different rooms. So it was a really weird set of circumstances in order for them to put on like an event.
That's really fucking weird.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like the WWE was able to put on and are still able to put on wrestling shows, and I think one or two of their like wrestlers did get sick. I don't know if any of them have the coronavirus, but I know just basically from talking to people that follow the sport, or it's not sport, entertainment, sports entertainment. I don't know what it is. They're saying like two wrestlers were out of the show because they were sick. So I don't know if that coronavirus related or not. So
Yeah.
so I don't know how they get around regulations. So like it is like, and especially like I remember was watching this kind of Jamie, who does the Joe Rogan podcast. I came across his Twitter account, and he was showing this like he had this like kind of little video to show people on a beach, and they are able to track people's phones and see where people went from that beach. So they're able to use the phones, and they had like all these orange dots, and it was just like all the people using their phones while on the beach. And then they're able to use this thing where it's like spider thing, which showed where the people went with their phones, and they're able to track where the people went, and they went all around the state of Florida because it was beach was on in Florida. It was in Miami. It was like a beach party, and they've seen the spread of the people around that beach. So like if they did the same thing about UFC fighters and staff that are at that shows, and if they showed that the spread of people and the distance, I say it would be even greater. Like especially if those fighters were returning home to like California, or if they're fighting traveling home from New York or all over America. Imagine the ones that are international aren't able to get back. But even like then, the training partners, like training for a fight, you can't self isolate if you're training for a fight. You need training partners. So like I imagine then gyms have to be open. Then like you have training partners. So you like there's possibly hundreds of people getting infected. Just even if no one gets infected at your shows, what about then those fights, those gyms that are open to help you train for your fight, and how did they stay open? So like I don't know. There's bigger questions for this.
Yeah, like it's very. I don't know. I think it'd just be better off to just postpone everything.
Yeah, and I imagine there's like I don't know how the athletic commissions feel about the UFC going around their kind of rules in terms of cancellation events for coronavirus. Like that could have backlash in itself in terms of states allowing the UFC to put on events.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's gonna be really really interesting. I wonder how like I imagine this what do you think is this going to make like in terms of for ESPN? This is going to make them millions because this is going to be a sporting event, and nowhere else there's no other sport on. So ESPN are going to get like huge kind of viewership that they're hoping, and then that then line that this is going to then relate to like in terms of like getting either if UFC want to show boxing events, because I know Zuffa boxing is a thing, and that could possibly become a thing. ESPN
Yeah,
might do them a deal based on that, or just possibly bringing on more newer fans. But yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with the fights going ahead. I think they should just cancel it and pay the fighters a small wage that were meant to fight over the next coming months. They reckon September. That's also a thing.
September.
Yeah. They know why he says nowhere's going to stay closed till September. I'm trying to find enough innovative ways that I can put on shows that'll maintain fighter safety.
That's like yeah. I don't know. Like I'd say things won't start getting back to normal until next year. I'd say.
Well, I reckon just like for Ireland, is my prediction is pretty much uneducated. So basically what I've seen around Italy and China, what I think will happen is through April and May, we'll see numbers continue to increase. I think maybe around sometime in May, we'll see a slight slowdown of cases, and then continue through June. We'll see less and less cases, but there'll still be cases of the coronavirus in Ireland, and then I reckon through July, sometime in July, that we might see stuff reopening. But
Yeah.
what time like gym could open? I don't know. Time like hairdressers might reopen. I don't know. But sporting matches, like I'd be very I'd be very surprised like if everything's fully reopened by August. Like I'd say August, everything will be by August maybe everything will be reopened. But like that's what I think the timeline will be. I think we're hoping that will be finished in June. I think June will be a little bit soon. I think maybe it'll be around late July.
Oh yeah, like we still got a few months to go. Definitely. Like.
Yeah, and that, like Ireland's a case where we've done a reasonably good job at stopping the spread of it. So like in terms of what I think will happen is we aren't going to see the same kind of deaths and cases that maybe Italy's seen, but we will see increase in cases and increase the cases. We probably get to maybe 15,000, 20,000 people having the coronavirus, possibly 50,000 people, and then before it slows down. But like we're not going. I don't think we'll get to over 100,000 or anywhere near 100,000.
Hopefully not. Anyway.
Yeah. I think we're currently at 5,000.
Yeah, so it's not. We're doing better than we thought we would be.
Yeah, I think by end of like March, they thought we were gonna have 15,000 cases.
Yeah.
So like yeah, that's be positive. But yeah, I like I can kind of see where he's getting September from. Based off the US. The US were a little bit slow to react, and so now they're in the thick of it, and it's probably going to get a lot worse in the US over the next few months. I say around July in the US will be they'll be still seeing a slight rise if I'd say if not only to be at the peak at around July. So yeah, August, September, October even for the US could easily be easily like forecast.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I think Dana White should have just cancelled the whole fucking thing anyway.
Yeah, I think I think 90% of the people listening would agree with you. The US is a little bit weird. I think that's in terms of like I'm not saying the US. I say a lot of states are taking it serious. Like New York's taking it quite seriously. Parts of California, but there are other states that aren't taking it seriously. And like US is such a big place, that people and they have a weird thing about like freedom and being trapped in your house or being told where you can't go outside is a diminishing of their freedom, which they are technically true, but like it's for a pretty good reason. So I don't know. I think the US is a bit. The US is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange country.
yeah. There's a bit different the way we are. Yeah, but like I think like sporting events are going to come to the point where they're going to be looking at ways. Like I know they're trying to look at ways to get football back over here. Um, so like people are going to look at ways to get their businesses back going. Like people are going to be eager to get stuff back to normal because of all the lost money. Like governments are going to be eager to get back thing. But like one thing that we have to learn from the Spanish flu, if you go back too early, you could end up it coming back and being a lot worse.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with the Spanish flu. A lot more died because of the second outbreak.
Yeah. Like that's just what. Yeah. I suppose that's why we're trying to be careful of, really.
Yeah,
Like, they need to review the lockdown before they like totally, you know, open everything up again.
yeah, I can see it like peeling back. Like I don't think it'll be like ultimate lockdown. Then everyone go back to normal. I think it'll be like lockdown. Then it'll be like go back to the way it was, where essential businesses like builders can go back building, and they'll, but like in terms of office staff might have to be told to continue to work from home and stuff like that. And
Oh
you know,
yeah.
it'll be go back to whoever can work from home. do, but everyone else can start to go back to work. If you work in what would be class of a non-essential work, could go back working, as long as they maintain social distance, and then like eventually it will be peeled back and back and back until like we're pretty sure that like the coronavirus is gone or a vaccine comes out.
Yeah.
Like I think vaccine will be a way that this thing is stopped, but it won't be anything else other than that.
The vaccine, though, I think could be still a while away. Like.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we went quite a bit on from our podcast. A little bit longer. So, like, well, do you know what? People have less to do. So maybe they might enjoy the extra 15 minutes there of us giving our predictions on the coronavirus.
You've got more time to listen.
Yeah, exactly. So if you actually have anything you want us to talk about, whether it be something weird, some sport related, something that's in the news that you heard about, you can send in any questions you want or topics you want us to talk about to shytalkpodcast@gmail.com or message us on all social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And if you listen to a podcast somewhere, subscribe. You don't have to look for us again. You could pop us on your device. Sometimes they give you notifications when we release a new episode, which is every Thursday. And that's all we ask for you, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, subscribe and send in weird questions to us. And we'll be back.
Send money if you want.
Yeah, send us. Please send us money. And food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preferably money.
Preferably money so we can buy food. But no toilet paper. You can keep that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep your toilet paper. And we'll be back next Thursday.
Yeah. See you later.
Shut up and sit down.